Hello and welcome to another Redshirt podcast with Vernon and Nigel. Nigel, it's cold, it's blustery, it's been wet, it's been terrible, but King Ralph, his reign started, and well, we've got off to a sort of like this is plenty of positives to talk about, isn't it, Nigel?
Mate, I am so happy. My chest is puffed out. You know, we've got a manager that knows what he's doing, and the players are responding. And, you know, I just love what he did. Obviously, we're here the day after the game last night. I'm really enjoying what he did. The fact that he changed all 11. You know, he could quite easily have played the same team that we played last week and, you know, try and build some momentum. But he's coming with a completely different mindset. He wants to see all of these players playing. And it just feels so different. I'm really enjoying. I'm enjoying his interviews. I think he's brilliant. Well, everything he says, I'm like, mate, it's like manna from heaven. So I'm really happy, Vernon.
It is. I mean, there is a German sense of humor there as well, isn't there, Nigel? You know, like, you know, some of the things that he's saying, like, you know, like last week in his press conference when he referenced the 10 million, you know, bonus he was on if he gets Haaland to stay, you know, come over, you know, to sign. I thought that was kind of funny. But the game that you're talking about is obviously last night's game in the Champions League against Young Boys Bern. Now, just a little brief background. United already qualified for the round of 16. The draw is going to be on Monday, 11 a.m., which I think is the 6th. Is it the 16th, Nigel? Is it the 16th? No, the 13th, isn't it?
13th is next Monday.
The 13th. Yeah. It's going to be 11 a.m. I think, like, as the game was a dead rubber, as they would describe it, because United had already qualified, it was time to sort of like rule his rule over players in a playing situation under pressure, you know, and it was the right thing to do, wasn't it? I mean, you look at the day before, Kyle Walker gets sent off, you know, in Germany. He's obviously going to be suspended for the right games. So I know there's a lot of people that unfortunately had paid good money last night to see a team, but from a manager's point of view, he needed to look at players, but also as well going into the festive season, you know, with games coming thick and fast, players needed to be rested. So he made 11 changes. So it was like Henderson, Wan-Bissaka, Shaw, Bally, Matic in the middle. Matic played centre half. Lingard, Van der Beek. Then he played Ahmad, Ilenga, and he played obviously Greenwood up front, didn't he, Nigel?
Yeah.
So I mean, it was a totally, you know, changed team. 11 from obviously Sunday's game, and I think at times, you know, there was some breathtaking football there, weren't there? Yeah,
certainly in the first half. I thought the first 30 minutes, I was like, I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing. You know, and everyone is clearly up for this audition. I mean, I know it like you say, it's the dead rubber. However, they were also talking about the fact that young boys could still qualify for the Europa competition if they got the win. So they certainly came to get the win, which I thought was brilliant for our players, because it meant that, you know, it wasn't just going to become a friendly almost, or an exhibition.
It was a competitive game, wasn't it, Nigel?
A competitive game. They were definitely there to try and win it. So obviously it was a sterner test for the boys, and maybe we should do a rating maybe for all of them, because it'd be interesting to know what you think about how each of them individually did. But yeah, I mean, I was certainly surprised by Matic at, you know, centre half, and for the first half, I'm like, hang on a minute, he's actually there was one Matza was in there, by the way. I just remember. One Matt was in the midfield, but Matic in centre half. I'm like, well, the first half he did well. Second half he faded away, and that's maybe lack of game time, or maybe his age. But I was like, I was very impressed with him for 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think like with what I kind of like saw with Matic was you could see like his midfield, you know, his midfield, so his natural instincts as a midfielder, where he thought he had a little bit more time on the ball than you usually do, you know, as a centre half. Got to say, Bally I was impressed with again.
Do you know what I mean? Was great.
You know, major blocks in at the right times. Also, Bally can take the ball out from the back, can't he? He can beat a player and he can go into midfield. You know, he can bring us out another 10 yards. I was impressed with him. Shaw, I thought did okay. The guy that I am a bit worried about, I've got to say, is Wan-Bissaka. I think he's out of form now. I don't want to be, I've got to be brutally honest with him. He's out of form and he just doesn't seem to be getting his positioning right. I mean, unfortunately, I don't know if anybody know, but he actually did leave the game on a stretcher. So we do hope he's okay and that we hope he recovers quickly. That being. But
I'll be honest with you, my WhatsApp group wondered whether that was for the cameras because he knew he wasn't going to be playing the next game, which I think is a bit, cruel. But they all kind of said, "Oh, here we go." He knows he's not going to get. He knows he's not going to play the next game, so he's doing the whole, "Oh, I'm croaked."
I tell you what, Nigel, I wouldn't have liked to be a gladiator in the Surround Joe brothers. Do you know? It definitely.
It definitely would be there off his neck.
Exactly. There's no comebacks, is there, Nigel, with your group. But I just thought, to be honest with you, I mean, like, it's strange because I've watched. I think the thing that I have liked about King Ralph, because I'm going to nickname him King Ralph, if that's okay, is that he looks like he's shaking up the establishment. He's played Dalot and he's played Alex. And I've got to get this name right because a Brazilian friend told me the other day, it's not Teles, it's Teles. So we do like to get the names right on here, don't we, Nigel?
Okay, but he's in Manchester now, so in Manchester it's Teles.
Okay, well, if we ever see him, Nigel, and get him as a guest on the show,
I'm not gonna. Hey, Teles, get over
here. but I mean, I don't think as defenders they're as both as good as maybe sort of like Shaw and Wan-Bissaka. I don't think Dalot's got the natural pace of say Wan-Bissaka, but the one thing that I have been impressed with is both of them from an attacking point of view. I know it's about defending and I think they're decent enough defenders, but from an attacking point of view, I think they've obviously given us something extra. And when I was watching sort of like Wan-Bissaka last night, I was kind of like thinking, you're really struggling with this. We've always thought he'd struggled, but I think it emphasized it even more because Dalot had been in that position, and you're looking at the ball that he laid off for United second against Arsenal. And you're thinking, you're not getting that sort of ball, into the wing, a reverse pass.
Well, do you remember what we said, Vernon, last pod, which was, when Ole got the team, he ran out of excuses. Now we've got a stellar manager. The players have run out of excuses. And it's a classic thing with Wan-Bissaka, which is great defender, needs improvement going forward. Dalot, great going forward, needs to improve his defending. So they're both like two halves of the same coin. But do you know what? Ralph is the guy that can develop players. This is the difference between him and Ole. I know that I've no doubt whatsoever Ralph will identify Wan-Bissaka's weaknesses and work on them. And likewise with Dalot. So it can only be a win-win. For me, it can only be a win-win.
I think for me, the most important thing is we're actually seeing rotation properly.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it'll be interesting to see what happens on, Saturday's game against Norwich, where, you'll see if all these players come back. They obviously will, that he's rested. So just so that people can try and get a bit of an understanding. So United play, obviously, they've played last night, then they play Saturday evening at 5:30. Then they play Tuesday night against Brentford. And then it's Brighton on the Saturday, which is the 18th. And then there's a rest for 9 days. So United don't play another game until they play Newcastle on the 27th. So I think that's where he's going to be able to get the group together and really put his methods together from the 18th to the 27th. The reason being is because at the moment it's just going to be game, rest, recovery, game, rest, recovery, until they get it out. So I know a lot of people were kind of disappointed maybe with some of the team yesterday, or the fact that he had to, because injuries are going to be so easily picked up in the next couple of games.
Oh no, I totally saw what he was trying to do. I totally appreciated what he tried to do. And you know what, we keep talking about this word reset. He's totally reset, and it's that every player has got the opportunity to shine, to demonstrate to him that they're committed to the club and that they're committed to him. And and I think, so I was absolutely happy to see. And if we lost the game, it's a dead rubber. you know,
Yeah.
and I think everybody in that stadium and all United fans around the world would totally appreciate the fact that, you know, he's looking at his players because he's come mid-season. It's not like he's got a pre-season with them, so he's got to have a look at them, hasn't he? So
yeah, I think as well, it was obviously pretty good, obviously, to see players like Mengi,
oh my days,
Lingard,
what a great
and
player he
Mars,
is.
Charlie Savage, Iqbal, you know, Zinedine Iqbal, you know, start the games.
Yeah,
You know, Shola Shatori start, you know, coming on as substitutes, you know,
yeah,
and getting a feel, you know, for the game, you know. And I think that's quite important because I think he needs to know if these guys are supposed to be on the verge of the first team squad, that they're actually ready. And, you know, he needs to see how they, you know, play under pressure, under, you know, the lines. And I think that's kind of reassuring, isn't it, Nigel?
Absolutely. Now, I mean, obviously, I'd be interested to hear what you think, but obviously some of those players I thought took their opportunity and some of them didn't take. Well, some of them took it, some of them didn't take it, and some of them you just know have got the hangover from Oli. Some of them are just so rusty. Like Mata, for example. Is Mata rusty? Is he just past it? I mean, maybe he should have gone, you know, maybe 2 seasons ago, but it's still there. Yeah. But, you know.
I think Matt has been kept, you know, on a basis of how good he is for the squad.
Yeah.
You know, he's almost sort of like a diplomatic, you know.
Yeah, he's the ambassador now, isn't he? But,
but the thing is I think it's time for him to go, because I was watching him last night.
Yeah.
And Europe is a slower game. And you can see when he plays in the Premier League, when he comes on, that the game's passing by because unfortunately he just hasn't got the legs, you know. And the thing is time catches up with us all, Nigel, doesn't it? You know, it's caught up with me and you. Do you know what I mean? But we
speak for yourself, my friend. Yeah. Yourself, look at this guy.
But, you know, it has. And I think, like, you know, it was funny because I was looking at Ahmad last night and I'm thinking there's a player there. What I would say was at times we overcooked chances.
Yeah.
You know,
I was so frustrated with that opportunity. Like, you know, between him and Jesse, they messed up. It's like, come on, man. This is even at our level, that's unacceptable.
Correct.
You know,
and the thing is I'm sure the manager, you know, would have taken note of that and thought, well, maybe not quite ready. You know, on the cusp. And it, you know, you're on the cusp, but these are the things that we've got to refine and define so that, you know, when it comes to the big games, you don't mess up, because like it only takes one. They had, like, you know, obviously in the first half they took their chance that they had, and that's it. The games, you know, the games at 1-1. Now,
and now, of course, at that point we should have been 2 or 3 open.
Well, it was a good save from their keeper, wasn't it, from Mata?
Yeah,
it was a really good save.
Yeah,
you know, where he'd obviously, you know, everybody in the ground, we all thought it was in.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden it just, you know, he gets I think he got his leg to it, and it just goes over the bar.
Well, it was a bizarre thing because the defender gets his leg on it, and the ricochet from the defender actually then puts it literally on the goalkeeper's legs.
Yeah,
so it was the most bizarre thing to see, and so I know a fluke miss. Do you think Jesse took his chance? Sorry to jump in there. Do you think he's checked out? Is really the question I'm asking, because I looked at him yesterday and I thought, yeah, okay, Rust aside, you look like you've checked out. You look like you don't want to be here.
I mean, the thing is, and I think to me the key was that he took them both off before the 90 minutes. And I'm wondering if that was so that the fans could say their goodbye, you know, give him a round of applause.
Okay,
and,
maybe.
And that they go, you know, with Mata and Lingard, you know, because you're thinking to yourself, well, he's allowing the fans to give him a round of applause and for them to really say goodbye.
Yeah,
you know,
you could be right there, mate, yeah.
I mean, like with Jesse, it's a funny one because I kind of think that because of his legs, he may get a chance under RALF because he's got that high level energy. I've got to say, obviously, unfortunately, their equaliser again was down to, well, it was, you know, Wan-Bissaka headers it straight to their player. And I think we had another opportunity, 2 or 3 opportunities to clear it after that.
Yeah.
And Donny van der Beek, obviously, a weak pass at the, at the box. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought Donny did all right actually last night. I thought he did.
I think Donny's passed his audition. I mean, it's unfortunate for some of these players because Donny next to somebody with a bit more industry, like next to Fred, looks better. But Donny next to Mata, it's a hard game to look good in, really.
Well, I'm glad that you've brought up Fred actually, Nigel, because obviously, if to say that like Fred, he's like, how could I best say it? You know what I mean? He's Marmite, isn't he, Nigel? That's the best, the best place, because you look at him.
Not to me, it's not.
not to you, no. But I mean, the funniest thing on Sunday was everybody was shocked that he scored, but everybody was even more shocked that he scored actually with his right foot.
I know. The guy's Brazilian, after all.
Now, I kind of think that with Fred, and okay, we can go on, and there probably will be another central central midfielder signed, defensive midfielder signed, another CDM, because Matic is on his way out.
Yeah.
So, but I'm looking at him on Sunday, and I'm thinking, you know what? This guy's going to flourish under this system, because you need somebody who has to be tigerish and aggressive and busy, Yeah. And I looked in the Chelsea game. Okay, we were frustrated he missed that chance, but he's pressing higher.
You've noticed he's pressing higher, isn't he?
Yeah, he's pressing higher.
And the intercepts are just outstanding. He's like first intercepts, first breaking up play. He's just doing it. I think he's going to flourish.
And I think the thing is under the system that RALF wants to play, because he wants to play a higher press, higher energy game, you have to get players that can play that. And I think probably with Fred, he's probably identified that he's somebody that can do that, because you just can't get players in, and you have to identify the right players to play this game. Now, I think that a lot of United fans might think that McTominay and Fred possibly aren't good enough, as stellar stellar players to be in United's lineup. But he's got to start with the cards he's dealt with, hasn't he, Nigel, and get a tune out of them first.
I have no doubt that Fred is, you talk about your star players and your water carriers. You need both on the team, and there's no disgrace in Fred being that kind of guy. That he's just so diligent and he's so committed to the club and wants to do well. He's such an honest player, and that's what endears me to him. And I know, okay, the odd pass goes astray, but let's have it right. Bruno loses possession far more than Fred does, but for some reason, Fred is the one that always gets the hate from the United fans.
Yeah, I think that's because like Bruno has so much credit in the bank because of the goals that he scores and the fact that
he doesn't.
Well, no, but you know what I mean, Nigel. When you're scoring, when you're scoring 20 odd goals from midfield, people and the thing is Bruno is as guilty as anybody with his lack of pressing at times and giving the ball away in bad situations. The risk that you take with him, that comes with him. Do you know what I mean? He's going to try and unfortunately nutmeg somebody and play it through the curtains on the edge of his area when he should clear it.
Exactly.
But that's it. But
well, anyway, I'm looking forward for all the Fred haters to sit down. I'm looking forward to all the apologies I'm going to get, because I think he will flourish. And do you know what? And that's more about the manager, really. I think Fred, like any player, I've often said, if he was playing for City, I'm sure Pep would get a tune out of him. Now we've got a stellar manager. Hopefully, let's see if he gets a tune out of Fred.
Well, the thing is obviously you sort of like sit down and you listen. I mean, unfortunately, I thought towards the end, and I'm not having a go at like Ole here, but for me, his press conference became too cliched. It's our DNA. That's the United way. And I'm thinking, but you're not really, sorting out the problem here. You're not really talking about what's going wrong. Now with RALF, it was funny because he talks about control. His key word is control. We didn't have control, or we needed to take more control. So you can see what his vision is. His vision is, right, this is what we've got to do. And we have to make sure. I mean, one of his key quotes I thought last week was, you know, you shouldn't have to be scoring 3 goals at home to win.
Yeah.
You know, and you could see it, because I think the problem is under Ole, especially like later on, it just became chaotic, didn't it, Nigel? You're looking and you're thinking, we're winning games not because the team has a way of playing and a culture of or a style. It's down to the individuals that have pulled us out of pulled us out of it.
It was just beautiful to hear him say that. It was beautiful to hear his philosophy just coming to the fore. He's got a wealth of experience. He knows what he's talking about. He's already identified, like you quite rightly said, you know, we shouldn't have to be scoring 3 goals to win a game. Straight away, both games, you know, we didn't concede the first game, we conceded one the last game. It's all about we're controlling this game. Yeah, okay. And maybe, to be fair, yesterday, and it can be forgiven, there didn't seem to be that much of control. Well, there certainly was control first half. Second half, it seemed to lack a bit of control, but there's other factors at play.
You made 5 substitutions, so
yeah, exactly.
The flow of the game is going to be lost, isn't it? You're not going to, you know, because players are not used to, you know, playing at Old Trafford in front of a crowd. They're nervous, so they're not going to take a risk. It's just going to be, right, I'm going to stay in position. I'm going to do what I'm told to do. And they're playing up against experienced players. I mean, people forget that, oh, you know, it's young boys Burn, and unfortunately they've taken 4 points off us in the group.
Yeah.
But guys, it's the Champions League. They're not there because they're rubbish. It's the Champions League. So, you know, we've got to take that into account, you know. Going forward, Nigel, obviously, we're going, you know, through to the last 16. And we've obviously know the teams that we could face. We can't face any English teams, you know. I mean, we could face Benfica, Sporting Lisbon, PSG, Salzburg, and Benfica. The Atletico Madrid is the other team that we could face. Now, Nigel, you know, at this stage, you want a favourable draw, don't you?
Well, we always say this, don't we? But I think you know, United never do anything easy. So for me, I'm like, bring on PSG, because I think bring it on. It focuses the mind. I actually think we are better as a team now under RANGNICK. I mean, under RALF. So I'm pretty sure that we can set up against PSG and really give a good account of ourselves. I know that they are quite chaotic. So sometimes they play quite well. I thought their last game they played pretty decent football. But look at it. It's Ronaldo against Messi. It's Poch, you know, against RANGNICK. It's PSG again. It's all the villains from PSG against. So it's just it immediately whets my appetite as a game that I'd love to see.
It's funny because I mean it's a beautiful game, and I mean, you know, we kind of like know that, you know, it's been obviously spoken about quite openly in the press that Pochettino is open to coming to Old Trafford.
Yeah.
You know, he's open. It's a job that he would like. I mean, he wanted to come, and United had obviously approached him about the job when Solskjaer was there, when they were like, you know, unsure, you know, if they were going to give, you know, Solskjaer the job on a full-time basis.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously things have gone a bit quiet at the moment because obviously Ralph's taken over and everybody's, you know, let's be honest, it's transfer window time. So everybody's kind of thinking, well, who's he going to, you know, go out there and who is he going to sign? Now, for me, I've got to say, I want a favourable draw. You know, I've gone out. You know, I hate going out at the round of 16.
Yeah.
I think I'd like Salzburg, and the team that I want. I mean, you know, and then the other one I want to try and avoid is Atletico Madrid because it's Diego Simeone, and it's almost like the dogs of war, aren't they? You know,
they are. Yeah.
You know, so it's them. I mean, from a romantic point of view, I suppose, because of the Portuguese link, and I don't know if you realise this, Nigel, but I think Portuguese is probably the first language of the United team.
It is at the moment. I've thought about that actually, pretty much.
Because I don't think people realise, but Victor Lindelof and Cavani are fluent in Portuguese as well.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So
Crikey.
I think it's actually, you know, the spoken language of the team. But I think obviously that would then obviously, you know, with the links with Ronaldo and Bruno, you know, and obviously we've bought Nani in the past. I mean, there's good, and or maybe something like Benfica, and again, it's the Portuguese links, isn't it? You know, back to the club. So, I mean, I think that's for me would be, you know, the team that you'd want us kind of like draw. You know, the others, you kind of don't know what you'd get. It's kind of like a mixed bag after that, you know, with like Inter Milan and that, you know, you don't know what you're going to get.
No, I hear you. I think that my only issue with the Sporting Lisbon game, and I agree with you in terms of the romantic sense, but does that just soften the hearts of Ronaldo and Bruno? Whereas if we're playing against PSG, oh my days, Ronaldo, it's all about who's the big cheese here. And so there's no, you know, that mind is focused. Ronaldo is not coming off that pitch second best. You can see it. So that's why bring on PSG. That's what I say.
Well, you can see it, isn't it, Nigel? Because I mean, unfortunately now that's why La Liga has just lost its appeal, hasn't it? Because Ronaldo and Messi aren't there. Okay, you could say that, you know, they're in the sort of like latter end of their careers, but these guys are stellar names. People will pay. You know, people want to see these, and I think it would be interesting. I mean, like, you know, because I know it sounds strange. I know I said this at the beginning of the season that I kind of fancied United to do well in the Champions League. I just felt that they could do, you know, once, you know, I just felt that they could do, and it'd be interesting because you never know where you're going to go in the Champions League. You know, it's like a cup run. It depends who you draw. It depends on the luck of the night, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, so I think, you know, it'll be interesting to see who we get. And then obviously you don't play them till about February time. So, I mean, it's put to bed now. And do you know what, Nigel? I feel so good that we're not getting drawn in the Europa League. You know, that relief.
Could
and,
you
you know,
imagine?
Barcelona are in there now, aren't they? I mean, last night they went into the Europa League. You know, so we've been there ourselves, Nigel.
Wow.
So we can,
how times have changed. Exactly. We know what that's like. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. We do. You know, getting drawn against Tom Tonks and teams like that. You know, you kind of like getting a map out. So where are they then? Do you know what I mean? You try to work out where they are, and you know, teams like that. But and unfortunately, the Europa League, it doesn't have the feel of the Champions League, does it, Nigel? I know we've got to 2 finals in the last couple of years, winning one and losing one, but it's not the same euphoria and excitement, is it, as being in the Champions League?
Come on, everybody knows nobody wants to play Thursday night football. The stigma alone is just we've had it. I mean, the years we're in it, all the Arsenal fans and the City fans come out with all the nonsense. So it's like it's just good not to have to think about it for 1 year.
Well, exactly, and that brings us on now, obviously, to United's game on Saturday, which is obviously against Norwich at 5:30 kickoff. Interesting game going into, obviously, you know, the Christmas period. You know, I think this will be interesting to see how he plays, because I mean, I was watching United last week against Crystal Palace, and it was interesting to see how, you know, the press, you know, United started with a lot of high energy, you know, and you could see the likes of Rashford and that, you know, running down. And I think that's why it was important that he did rest last night, Rashford and the others, because I mean, they have been playing high octane football, you know, and it'd be interesting to see what he does, you know, if he obviously brings back the 11 that he, you know, rested last night.
Yeah. Well, I think you made a point earlier. There's a lot of games coming up, you know, and a very quick turnaround. So, you know, going back to what we were saying before, you know, which of the players from last night's game have passed the audition to maybe feature in the game against Norwich, given literally the 2 or 3 games that we got with quick turnarounds. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's probably a mixture of both teams. I certainly think Greenwood has done himself no harm in terms of getting a shout out, you know, for that game. I think Van der Beek gives himself an opportunity to get into that team. Luke Shaw, probably. You know, I think these are players that maybe.
For me, Bally's got to be knocking on that door.
And absolutely Bailly. Yeah, I think he.
You know, from what I saw yesterday, I'm thinking to myself, you know, if you can keep away from injury, because that's the problem with Bally, and just keep the mistakes out of your game. There is a decent centre half there. I think it's just, you know, it's just about focus and keeping his, you know, his discipline. Because I mean, you know, there is a very good player. I mean, obviously there's Varane to come back, but to me it'll be interesting to see what will happen with Maguire, because I think, you know, there's been questions obviously in the last few months, you know, about Maguire, about his form, and basically if he is a United captain.
Yeah, well, indeed, and I've been the first to say, you know, I don't think he is. But do you know what? We hit the reset button, so you know,
Correct.
let's see how he performs now. He certainly seems to be accepted as the captain. You don't see Ronaldo spitting his dummy out and all that kind of thing. So you know, and you don't see Bruno doing it either. And you know, there seems to be a good bunch of guys. So you know, I've no issue with him, you know, holding on to the armband. You know. Yeah. But I tell you what, I obviously I like the fact that the whole Gengen press which means that you know, the back line is literally sat on the halfway line. And I've often thought, obviously, a team that's cute just knows, ping it over the top, get some runners in, and we're in trouble because Maguire's not the quickest. So obviously it's perfect for someone like Bailly, not so perfect. You know, once teams cotton on to what we're doing for people like Maguire. So, you know, let's see. But I hope, and I think we will see this, that we'll try and finish games off by half time. If we can finish games off by half time, then it means everybody can take a breather. It means we can, because all the players now signed up to this new philosophy. So you can now see, like with Liverpool, no matter who you bring in, it's the same identity. And that's what we're looking for now. We're looking, so no matter who you bring in and take out, it's got to be the same identity. There's probably an issue around execution and just control on the ball, but you know, in terms of the philosophy, you can definitely see it now, and it's great to see.
I think you're right there, because I think like on any other day, United probably would have been 2 or 3 up in the first half against Crystal Palace. I just think the problem was that they were getting their blocks in, or there was a good save, you know, from the keeper. You know, it just wasn't going in. And I think the thing was like everybody could see the high press. I mean, you could see it being slightly introduced against Arsenal, but they were coming out of the press. They were finding space to get out of the press. Whereas I found like United were kind of perfecting it. And I think by probably sort of like the first week of January, it'll probably be perfected.
Yeah.
You know, because the problem was before was United players, there was too much distance between them and the players when they were kind of half pressing, not pressing, and not knowing quite what to do. What you say there is very true. It's the identity of how we're going to play and being comfortable, you know, in how we're going to play and how we're going to do it. So what I'm going to do, Nigel, is obviously, you know, Saturday's game, just before we go on to that, obviously United have appointed a new number 2 in Chris Armas. And obviously they've appointed a sports psychologist in Sasha Lentz, which is quite interesting because I think his daughter goes out with Werner of Chelsea.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't know that.
So I think that's where the links come from with RALF RANGNICK being interested with like Werner, you know. So it is quite an interesting sort of like point, because I think if he is going to, you know, if he is going to get the job, or that they're going to appoint a manager, they now need to start identifying the players that they need for the style and identity of play that they want, don't they, Nigel?
Yeah. Interestingly, no mention of Pogba recently. What you're saying? Do you think is that ominous? You know, the lack of talk around Pogba. Do you think he's going? I think
it's quite interesting, because the thing that's identified is that to play with this style, you're going to have to work.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have to work. And you're looking at European football at the moment, and there's not much money. We know there's not much money out there.
Yeah.
There's not. Now, it depends what certain clubs want to do. I mean, obviously, we saw in the last transfer market that Real Madrid won Mbappe. Do you know what I mean? That you know, that is as clear as anything. Barcelona, unless they've got 3 magic beans, who can they buy? Do you know what I mean? There's no money there. You know, there's no money there. PSG, well, PSG, can they afford to be paid for Messi, Neymar, and the amount of money that, you know, Pogba will want?
Pogba will want,
So you know, the problem is there's such a small market for Pogba.
Yeah.
It all depends.
Yeah.
You know, it all depends. But again, there'll be United fans that won't be sad to see the back of him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. But then going back to the earlier point about this new psychologist that we've got, you know, actually, it was quite funny when he said, "Oh yeah, he won't be. You know, the players won't be sat down, lying down on the couch,
Holding hands,
you know, holding hands," which I thought was quite funny. But obviously, they're there to get the head straight. And you know, we've talked about all season, haven't we, Vernon? Is where's the mentality? Where's the mentality? Where's the character? And so, honestly, I'm just so happy. I just think this guy is the real deal. I just feel it. In my bones is the real deal. And I think sports psychologists, why we've not got one before, I don't know. You know, and like you said, it's just logical to have one.
Well, I think United,
did we used to have one?
No, United have used one. They've used one, but they've never employed one. You know, so if players have needed somebody to speak, or they wanted to get an extra edge. I mean, to be honest with you, when you've got Alex Ferguson there for 25 years,
he's the guru, isn't he? He's Mr. Psychologist.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, isn't it? When you've got him there for so long, you know, I mean that guy can motivate anybody. So they probably, you know, didn't need one. I think it's important that if you do have one, that the players feel that it's optional. You know, you're not forced to go and see him. It's if you know, I mean, but again, if it gives you an extra edge for a game, then what? You've got to use everything. Exactly. You've got to use everything. And I think
the assistant coach, I don't know if you've seen his promo, but I gave me a little smile. It's like a classic American advert. You know, even the image is very sort of glossy and soft. And he was there about, man, I'm a man of passion. And whatever I do, I give it 110%. And you know, I'm gonna turn this team around. I'm like, okay, lad, it's Manchester, mate. You're coming to Manchester. But you know, I guess he's saying the right things too.
I mean, it's funny, isn't it, Nigel? Because you can just imagine him with his chips and gravy, can't you? You know?
Yeah, get down to Mr. Lee's chippy.
You know, they've got no cheese. You know, you know, you can just. I mean, it's quite funny because I mean, he comes with this Red Bull background, doesn't he? Yeah. You know, he was like Jesse Marsh is, you know, he's number 2 at Red Bull Salzburg, so that's where, you know, and obviously he's got his experience from like MLS in America. Right, so it's quite interesting because I was looking at his profile and it did sort of like, and I did see a bit of that video and I was sort of like a little bit of like, wow, this is it is very sort of American, isn't it? You know, because usually, you know, a number 2 comes in and doesn't say anything, doesn't he? He's almost like the intermediate between the manager and the players, isn't he? You know, very, very rare does a number 2. A very good number 2 is very silent, isn't he?
Yeah, indeed. But you know, let's see. I know he didn't do too well when he became a manager. I think he managed a team in America.
Yeah, he did. Toronto.
Toronto, actually. So Canada, he didn't do too well. But then he's there as a number 2. So,
well, if you look at it from another point of view, you look at sort of like Steve McLaren.
Exactly.
You know, you look at like Brian Kidd.
Brian Kidd as well. Yeah.
Carlos Queiroz. You know, very number 2s are very good number 2s for
number
a reason.
2s. Yeah, exactly. Stay in your lane.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay in your lane, man.
You know, it'll be interesting to see, you know, like, because I mean, like, slowly he's putting this team together, and it'll be, you know, interesting to see, you know, what happens in the next few months. You know, will he stay as interim? Will he stay as interim man, or is he going, or is he going to be unveiled at the end of the season as the man?
I think he certainly wants a job in it, and he's got the share at the moment. So, and of course, I don't think any of us, obviously, depending on how it goes, I don't think any of us would mind him. But I think they should wait to the end of the season. Let's see how he does. You know, let's not make the same Ollie mistake again.
I think the thing was, again, that showed, unfortunately, a lack of experience from the board. because they went with public opinion instead of, because the problem then was he only won 2 of the last 12 games because everybody knew he'd had the job. You know, the players that were going knew that they were going. So there was like this total sort of like instability from a playing performance, you know, and I think that's what United have got to do now, because, you know, I don't know about you, Nigel, but I think, you know, if United get this run together, they haven't got a big, you know, a big rival until sort of like, you know, March the 6th.
Yeah.
That, you know, third, I mean, the 9 points off third, which is Chelsea at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, it's achievable.
It's doable. Yeah. I think the potential banana skin in that list of fixtures is Aston Villa, you know, your Stevie G factor is really, because they're playing quite well at the moment.
Yeah, and we've been drawn against them in the FA Cup, which is obviously,
so it'll be good to see, be interesting to see. But mate, you know, literally the ambition has got to be 30 points out of those 10 games. We should, you know, if we, for me anyway, my ambition is winning every one of those games. I know there's always a banana skin, but come on, you know.
Okay. Now the good thing is, Nigel, the good thing is if we do win all those 10 games, that you've decided to take me out for a meal, haven't you? So I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to that as well. But Nigel, it comes to that time of the show where we're going to go for predictions. So we're going to go for Norwich on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I won't do a prediction for the Brentford game because we're going to probably do a podcast before that.
Yeah.
So Nigel, predictions, please, for Norwich on Saturday. And it's away.
Get battered. No, we're winning this one. We are winning this one. And I see a very comfortable win. It'd be nice to get a nil as well. So I'm looking at 3-0. I think the players are refreshed. I think the players will do the biz in the first half. And then we'll control the game out. It's going to be a beautiful experience. I can see it now.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think the you know, this time of the season, you know, a rest is good, gets the mind focused, and I think, you know, the players will be looking, you know, obviously to impress the new manager. So yeah, I'm going to go for an away win as well, Nigel. I'll go for 2-0. If we get anything more than that, it's a bonus, but I'll go for 2-0. Yeah. Okay. So guys, I got to say, first of all, yeah, please like, subscribe. Yeah, keep your comments coming in. You know, we love them all. Also, got to say a big hello to the following guys. We've got to give our shout outs, haven't we, Nigel?
Absolutely. Yeah, mind you, I'm not happy. I mean, shout out, but you know, Vernon's getting presents. Where's my present?
Exactly. So, if anybody can see this, this is from my good friend Paul Mallon. Do you know what I mean? Thank you, Paul Mallon. Do you know what I mean? Always a good listener of the show, loves the show. Also, big shout out to Roy Johnson, Nigel. You know what I mean?
Oh,
big up
Roy.
You know what I mean?
The main man.
John
the
Cunningham.
General.
Yeah, John Cunningham always puts in, do you know what I mean, comments, doesn't he, Nigel? Tends to agree with you quite a lot. Do you know what I mean? Andy, Bilal, and Sal. Thanks for your support, guys. You know what I mean? And keep those comments coming in. So, again, please like, subscribe. Do you know what I mean? And watch us, innit, Nigel?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, every comment we read, every comment we'll try and respond to. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we will. We'll respond to them. We'll respond to them. And Hilton Alexander, big shout out.
Hilton. Get back on the show, Hilton. We miss you, mate.
Yeah, we do miss you. We do miss you, Hilton. So, yeah. So, Nigel, it comes to that time where it's love your family, keep safe, and
keep that red flag flying. It's a good day.
See you guys. Thanks very much.
See you later, man.